Hey guys, so tonight was very interesting. So today we went to the park. No, I don't have that video because people are weird and they look up, take screenshots and look up the park and figure out where the park is at and where it's located and who has it and you know what town is it in, and I'm scared of the world now. So I was telling my husband because he's like, "Oh, you should record this. We're at the park." Anyway, so we was at the park, and he got distracted because I'm like, "Here's the baby," because he's heavy, and he decided to leave the car without the little harness that we put him in. And he's very heavy to carry on your arm. So half of the time, I'm like, "Here, since you didn't get the the harness for the baby, here's the baby." So he gets distracted and puts his phone down somewhere in the park. So we get home, we done, gave the kids some food. Um, they're starting to wind down, get ready for bed, for school tomorrow. And we're like, okay, everything is going according to plan. And then all of a sudden, my husband's like, it's time for him to grab his phone, and he puts his phone on the charger, or he plays with it for a little while, talks to somebody, whatever he does. So that's his normal routine. He grabs his phone, then he plays the game, and then he goes to bed. So he's like, honey, have you seen my phone? And I'm like, no, I ain't seen it since we left the park. And so he's like, wasn't you on it? And I'm like, I think maybe. He's like, anyway, play the no, he was like, call it. He said, call it first. So I call it on regular phone and I ain't hear nothing. So I call it on Facebook, which you should always hear something. It don't matter if your phone's on silent. 9 times out of 10, Facebook is gonna go. So I called it on Facebook. We still didn't hear anything. So he's like, well, call it on Google and play the sound, because Google will play a sound for you regardless if your phone is on silent or not, or do not disturb. It'll play the sound. So I play the sound. We're searching all through the house, everywhere. We didn't track the phone until we figured out, okay, me and him end up in the same spot looking at each other like, where's the phone? We checked the car, we checked the back of the house, we checked the laundry room, we check outside, he checks in the truck, he checks by the dog, because he gave the dog some water for the night, and no phone. So then he says, well, track the phone. Now we're concerned. And we track the phone, and he sees the phone by Pizza Hut. So sometimes my father-in-law, he will pick up the phone thinking it's his phone, and he'll just, dart out the door. So he's like, oh, we hope he didn't pick up this phone, and, he need the phone. He's like, I hope he don't pick up this phone. I hope he doesn't pick up this phone. So he's like, well, I don't know if I should go, you know, because he might have the phone, my father-in-law. So we don't want to track him down and then he has the phone and we could have waited until he got home. So he's like, I don't want to do that. Then he comes back to me because he sees the phone leaves from Pizza Hut and goes to some trailer park. So we're like, okay, now we're concerned because what would my father-in-law have to do with this trailer park? And the trailer park is 20 minutes away. So we like, definitely, we don't have any family. All of the family lives directly in this area. It's like no more than 5 to 8 to 10 minutes. So he wouldn't be nowhere that's 20 minutes away. So we're like, Now, mind you, we played this sound about 3 or 4 times. Okay? And when you play the sound, it says it has an option on the sound where it says, I found the phone, or call the owner. And we're playing the sound, we're playing the sound, we're playing the sound. We didn't hear no phone. And the sound plays for 5 minutes at a time. We didn't hear no phone. So all of a sudden, We tracked the phone down. And I just happened to see that the phone went to the trailer park. So I hit secure phone. And I put in a message. You have an option to put in a message. Hey, call this number. Um, if the phone is missing, call this number. So I put, please call me, and I put my phone number. Still, nobody calls. We're like, we study, tracking the phone, see if the phone will move. Because we're thinking maybe the phone is in his father's truck. Phone didn't move. 20 minutes go by, the phone still hasn't moved. So we're like, okay, time to go track it down. So we get all the way over there. Some people show up to the door, of Spanish descent. Not that it makes any difference, but you'll see why I say something. And we go to the door, and the daughter comes to the door, and she's confused. She's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, the phone, my phone was tracked here, and I needed to turn up, otherwise I have to call the cops." And so she's telling her mom, I don't think her mom spoke much English. She's telling her mom in Spanish, like, she said she's going to call the policia if we don't have a phone, telefono. And she's like, oh, we don't have any phone, the mom. And she's like, my mom said, we don't have no phone, you know, we just have this phone that's sitting outside on the porch, look like it's beat up and stuff like that. And she's like, my dad's friend left this phone here, and he's never come back for it. You can have that. And I'm like, no. If you know whose it is, why would I take that phone? I don't want that phone. So, we found that very weird. And me and my husband looking at each other like, why would we take your dad's friend's phone? But okay, we don't want that. So we're like, but the phone is tracking here. We don't want no problems. We just want the phone. But the phone is tracking here. And they're like, okay, well, we don't have the phone. We're like, okay, well, do you know if you've seen a phone like that? If one of the kids picked it up, because we seen the little boy. He was in the park that day. So, and they're like, oh, we haven't been here all day. Of course you haven't. So we're like, where's where's the phone then? Because the phone is pinging right here. All of a sudden, we get a phone call on the phone. And guess what the person sounds like? Spanish descent. And they're like, oh, we've been trying to, wait for a phone call all night. We haven't gotten a phone call on this phone all night. I called the phone twice. Nobody picked up the phone. I'm like, okay. And they're like, but we can meet you somewhere. And I'm like, all right, well, meet me, at your house or something. I'm already, where the phone is pinged at. What house is yours? They're like, oh, no, you can meet me at the McDonald's. So, and mind you, we kept tracking the phone the whole time we're going, and the phone location kept spinning at this point. Once we left and we got closer to the house, the phone kept spinning. So that means they turned the phone off. I don't know if they turned the phone off thinking that it would stop the ping or what, but they turned the phone off. We kept going. It done already pinned off the tower. We're good to go. We don't need, Google keeps that last location the phone was in, so it doesn't matter if you cut the phone off. So we go to the house, and then we get the phone call, and then we go to the McDonald's up the street. I said, I'm at the McDonald's. I'm going to the McDonald's right now. Like, I'm going there right now, so I'll meet you there. They get to the McDonald's in 2.1 minutes. So So that means that person probably knew I was tracking the phone and decided to go to the McDonald's when I was on the way. Because how did they know that I would end up picking up the phone and going to the McDonald's? It is some real sketchy stuff out there. But this was not only a lesson for us, but I just wanted to inform people that when you decide to take some of these newer phones, because this has happened to my father-in-law too. Someone has took his phone out the car and he was giving them a ride to the store. Like he was being a good Samaritan, and they took his phone out the car, well, a ride home from the store. They took his phone out the car and decided to take it home. So when he decided to look for his phone, because, he's an older man, he forgets stuff. When he decided to go back to his truck to look for his phone wasn't there. Guess where his phone was at? The last place he had dropped the phone off, the person off. So he goes and looks at his Google, and he set up, the older phones used to take a picture of the person that has your phone. Like when they try to log into the phone will take the picture once they hit the power button. It'll take a picture of the phone of the person. So it took a picture of the last person that had the phone, and it was the person he dropped off, staring back at the phone. The person says, "Oh no," because my father-in-law, he tried to be a good Samaritan. He tried to go and get the phone nicely. And the person says, "Oh no, I don't have no phone. I ain't got no phone, man. You crazy. You crazy. I ain't got no phone." My father-in-law said, "Well, I have a picture of you, and I pinged the location. It pinged it here. I don't have no phone. I don't have no phone." He took all that to the cops, and guess who went to jail? So when y'all decide, and I'm not talking to my subscribers and my supporters, I'm talking to the people who decide to take a phone. When y'all decide to take a phone, there is a new system that will ping that phone. It does not matter if that phone has service or not. That phone will be pinged off of any tower. It doesn't matter if it's a Verizon phone and you're by Sprint. It doesn't matter if it's an AT&T phone and you're by T-Mobile. It's gonna ping for Google or iPhone. iPhone does the same thing. Any tower you're by, it's gonna ping off of that tower. Dodo. Okay, so don't steal people's phone. It's just that simple. Don't steal people's phone. It doesn't work anymore. It's not like when you went into the mall and that person accidentally leaves their phone on the bathroom, which I ain't never stole nobody's phone because I wouldn't want people to steal my phone because I know what it's like to be without a phone. And people don't have, back then it was $500-$600 to shell out for a phone. People don't have that. It's still $500-$600 for a cheap phone. Now for an expensive phone like the phone I have and the phone my husband had, we have a Samsung 23 Ultra. Those phones are $1,500. And if you didn't know, there's a such thing as called petty theft. Yeah, that's over $500, and that's 6 months to a year in jail. So it's not worth it to steal someone's phone. You might as well just Either leave it there if you don't want to get, um, give it back to the person and you don't want to be bothered. Just leave it where you know, found it, and they'll pretty much go back to where they left. Because everybody thinks about their phones. Phones are too expensive now. Back in the day, you used to get a $20 phone. They don't have a $20 phone. Now the phones are $100, $200. These are the cheap phones that were $20. It's just not worth it. And that's still, um, I think it's a fine for $100. It's just not worth it. And if you turn the phone off, if the phone was on and then you decide to get the phone and you turn the phone off, you're going to want to turn the phone back on. So as soon as you turn that phone back on, it's going to ping. As soon as you turn it back on. You're going to have to turn it on at some point. And then people think, well, if I turn the phone off and I try to wipe the phone while the phone is off, guess what? They have the IMEI number. The IMEI number never changes. So they put the IMEI number in and they block the IMEI number. So you try to go to Sprint or you try to go to, let me see, Straight Talk. That's why they ask for your IMEI number now. It's just not worth it. And then you try to sell it. Let's say you try to sell it. Number one, you can't sell it on the internet because people are going to want to know the IMEI number. You can't sell it to the pawn shop because now the pawn shop wants the IMEI number. It's just not worth it anymore. You might as well just leave people's phone where you found it if you're not going to give it back. It's not worth it. Anyway, so once I said something about the police, like I said, and once I, really kicked up about the police, all of a sudden I got a phone call and I got the phone back, and my husband has his phone back. We met up at the McDonald's and I got it back. And my father-in-law, he got his phone back because the police went to the location and pinged that. And he said, you know what he said? He said he found the phone. And my father-in-law is like, you found it where? In my truck? And he's like, I ain't find that phone in your truck. I found that phone in the store. Anyways, so my father-in-law was like, I don't want to give nobody a ride anymore after that. I'm like, don't do that. But I guess he hasn't. I'm guessing because, yeah, I'm just guessing. Anyways, don't do that. Don't steal people's home. Like, who does that anymore? Anyway. Yeah, so that was an interesting thing about today. But the kids had fun. And I had to teach my kids about stealing because they're like, where are we going at 9 o'clock at night? So Daddy had to explain what was going on. Mommy had to explain what was going on. That's another thing. I have to snatch my kids out the house at 9 o'clock at night because someone decided to take my phone. Instead of just calling the number or hitting a button. You're playing on the phone anyway. Just hitting a button would have, okay, call the last recent contact. Anyways, and how do I know this? Is because I had someone who was a good Samaritan find my phone in the Six Flags bathroom because I was distracted, and I got distracted with my daughter because she had her bathing suit on because we went to the water park, and so she had to, get undressed and use the bathroom. So I put my phone on top of the toilet paper thing, and I forgot, and I left it in there. So she, I'm playing the sound, and I'm calling the phone, and she decides to pick up, and she says, "Yes, I have the phone. You left it in the bathroom." She said, I pick up the phone, literally. She said she picked up the phone. She seen it said hubby, and she decided to answer the phone, and yeah, I have the phone. It's not hard. And then they try to say the story about, oh, well, we waited at the park until 7:30. Okay. Well, if you waited at the park until 7:30, and he was like, "Well, I didn't want to leave the phone at the park and then someone take it." Well, I'm pretty sure ain't nobody else at the park at 7:30 at night, and we would have figured out that the phone is still at the park. Because what? We tracked the phone. We didn't need you to move the phone. We tracked the phone. Like, oh, well, I should get a reward. No, you shouldn't, because we tracked the phone. We didn't need you to move it. Like I said, if you don't want to give the person back the phone, leave it where it's at. They will figure it out. People have Find My Phone app, my iPhone, and people have Find My Device from Google. Both of those. Shit, Samsung Buds have Find My Buds now, and I've I think Apple has Find My iPod, my EarPods or whatever. And a lady had lost her EarPods. That's the only thing about that. Lady had lost her EarPods at the social service, and one of the people picked it up. She lost one of her I think it's AirPods. Yeah, she lost one of those at the social service, and somebody picked it up. She pinged it back there, but ain't nobody say nothing. She good, because I would have sure made a police report right then and there, and then they would have had to look at them cameras that the social services have, and they would have found out who picked up her AirPod, because they were still there. She walked out the building like, I guess I wouldn't have. Because AirPods are expensive. They're $150. I wouldn't have. I don't know. Other people can play about their money, but I don't play about mine. I mean, no him. I work too hard. I sure would have made a report. Like my husband, he had lost his Galaxy Buds, but the thing with losing your Galaxy Buds and losing your AirPods is um something about, he said, without the case you can't really um track the location or something, he said. But yeah, so, and I think it's if it dies you can't track it or something he said. I don't know. But with AirPods you can track them individually. And so I don't know if you can do that with Galaxy Buds, but yeah, AirPods you can track them individually. And I sure would have made them look at that camera, because she did ask, nicely, if they could look at the cameras and find out what happened to her AirPod. And the security even looked at her like, I don't know, did you look in the trash can? Hmm? She said, well, I didn't go nowhere near the trash can. She said, well, I don't know. I had a situation happen to me like that. It was a college laptop I had brought to the social services, and this was during my CPS case story. If you want to find out more about that, yes, I do have my children, except for one. She chose to stay with my mom, and now she's regretting that real bad because I didn't have a great childhood. My mom was an alcoholic. She was an abusive alcoholic, and now she's a drug addict, and she's an abusive drug addict. Um, she had 16 CPS cases that they threw out, and so you can imagine how her world is. Um, and no, I did not choose to leave her there willingly. I had to leave her there because I had to go take care of my other children that I now had custody of. And if you know anything about CPS, you can't not take care of your children just because you got to finish the case plan for another one. You have to be able to take care of all three of them. And I had got a job in Minnesota, and my husband lost his job doing the case plan. So I needed that job, or else I would be right back in the case plan. And I wasn't doing that. I wasn't having them go back to my mom's house after they just got back in my custody. No. So I decided not to fight with her because it was her decision, and I left her there. But that's here nor there. Yeah. So I forgot what the hell I was saying with the other thing because I get so passionate about that. But anyway, yeah. So it was just an interesting night. It was real interesting, and it was unnecessary. Like I could have been just home with my kids, but I had to go track down a thief. It's ridiculous. And it's the validation for me. Like, oh, I sat here until 7:30. Okay, well, why? I didn't ask you to do that. I didn't want to leave it and somebody take it. If somebody would have took it, I would have tracked it down to them. Like, what good did you do me just now? When I could have just went to the park or had my husband go to the park. Like, oh, you left it at the park, and he could have went and got it himself. But people are so crazy now. That's why he took me and the kids, because people are so crazy. He could have went up to that house and anything happened. Like I had to get out the car because I was like, "What's going on?" Because they wouldn't come to the door. We sat there for like a good 5 to 10 minutes, and they would not come to the door. He was beating on the door. They would not come until I got out the car and I came up the steps. Then they came to the door, and then, like I said, they still proceeded to tell me there was nothing. No, 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 until I said police, and then all of a sudden, the brother comes to the door and he's like, "Oh, you can have the police or whatever." And then I get a phone call. I'm at the McDonald's. Anyway, then he said, on top of all of this, he said, I needed to unlock my phone that he just spoke to me on in order to prove that I was the owner of the phone. Hmm? I did it. I said, see, I didn't show him my password, but I showed him my home screen. And then his girlfriend, who sat in the passenger side, was like, mm-hmm, huh? And that's how fights start. But I'm not the type to show off in front of my kids. So, mm-mm. And I'm not gonna let nobody land me in jail because you decided to pick up a phone that wasn't yours. But I'm the one who needs to prove that the phone is mine. Anywho, I've been on here for 30 minutes, y'all. I done talked about something that I'm going through that I didn't want to bring up on this channel anymore. But I'm gonna see y'all. Um, Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.